Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Someday we'll stop talking about Hertz, but today is not that day. Frank sent me notes, and Steve, check out the story about Hertz again from ABC11.com. Diane Wilson wrote the story. Raleigh man stunned by Hertz rental car bill with upgrade charge applied in error. So they did fix it, but it was scary for a moment. The Raleigh man received a rental car bill for hundreds of dollars more than he was told it would cost. The issue began when the man and his wife reserved a rental car through Hertz. The online reservation stated the estimated price was $368. Now, everyone knows if you rent a car and it says, here's what we're estimating the cost is, the reason they're estimating it is it's possible there could be other charges you might incur. For instance, if you bring it back with an empty gas tank and it started with a full gas tank. Okay, assuming it uses gasoline. That's important, you know. Or if you damage the car, right? Those are kinds of things where your price could go up. But the couple arrived in Florida to pick up their rental. The worker at the counter wrote a note where the couple should pick up their rental car, and they followed those instructions. I've dealt with different rental car companies. I don't know if I've ever rented from Hertz in my life, but different companies do it differently. Some of them will walk you out to the car, walk around the car with you and hand you the keys. Others, they'll just go out in the thing and pick one from the row, whatever you want to do. But here he said that they gave him instructions, and so he followed those instructions. When we were checking out the car and leaving the airport, the lady told us, he gave you an upgrade. And I said, what? It surprised me, and she said, but you won't have to pay for it, don't worry. Now, here's the thing. The woman that he's talking about, I assume, is the person who is the gatekeeper, literally, of the lot. So you rent a car, you're driving the car to get out of the lot, and there's usually a person there that says, show me the papers, just to make sure you didn't just wander in from someplace and steal a car. And so apparently, as he's talking to her, she says, he gave you an upgrade. I said, what? But you won't have to pay for it, don't worry. So it's unclear if she got that off the paperwork he handed her or if she got that off of the computer screen, because I've seen it before. I hand them the papers. They take the papers, they look at them, click, 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 click. Oh, there you go. And they hand it back. The receipt stated that the estimated charge would be $405 because he had added on the fuel purchase option. He thought everything was fine until he returned the rental a few days later to find out the bill had increased by more than $600. And the explanation, of course, was vehicle upgrade. So one thing you have to remember is that the fuel surcharge is a convenience thing for which they charge you dearly. And they'll often say, we're giving it to you with half a tank, return it with half a tank, or we're going to charge you so much per gallon to make that up. And it'll often be an exorbitant fee, meaning that if gasoline is $4 a gallon, they'll go, it's going to be $8 a gallon for us to do that. So ideally, you should do it yourself. However, if you haven't got time or don't mind paying the extra money, do it. In response, the man said he filed complaints online with Hertz, but later received a letter from the company stating that the charges were valid. Not happy with that response, the man reached out to troubleshooter Diane Wilson at ABC11.com. Diane Wilson. And Diane Wilson is one of those people who is doing the Lord's work by hearing stories from consumers, getting involved, shining that bright light of television on them, and suddenly they're like, we're on TV? Hey, I got an idea. We're going to take care of that customer now. So when she reached out to Hertz, a representative provided this statement. Customer satisfaction is our top priority, and we regret this customer's experience. We have apologized to the customer and refunded the charge for the upgrade, which appears to have been applied in error. So what's fascinating is that when the guy files the complaint online, they say that, no, charges are valid. When the TV station calls, they say, the charge appears to have been applied in error. So in response to the refund on his rental car upgrade, the man said to the reporter, I'm very happy with that. It wouldn't have happened unless Diane Wilson had gotten involved. I know that for sure. And I assure you that we are all in agreement on that one. And whatever the reason is, Hertz has some systemic problems major problems in management and simply how they run their company. I'm talking about management as in the people who run it. And their systems are in place in such a way that stuff like this happens, okay? So he's told, you got an upgrade. But he's told that after he got in the car and was driving off the lot with it. And now I've been in situations before where somebody said to me, oh, we've given you an upgrade. But here's a document that says, upgrade, no charge, or something. But when he's told, you've been given an upgrade, he's told this after he's already got the car, nothing in writing to indicate this, and then the woman at the gate says, but don't worry, you won't be charged, which of course is verbal, meaning that he didn't get that in writing. And we don't know why she said it, but she did say it. But obviously he shouldn't be charged for this. But again, originally they said, oh, no, these charges are valid. TV station involved? Oh, they're applied in error. The best advice that Diane Wilson says you can do is to always get receipts and keep documentation to prove what you should be charged and what you were charged. In this case, it helped that the customer kept the receipts of the charges when it came to his rental. But again, the fact that he has those receipts didn't help him when he complained to Hertz. And so you might say, and this is an important question, because I know people, I've actually known a couple people who were reporters at TV stations, and I know this because they contacted me and will often ask me for advice and so on. And over the years, I've helped some of them with these cases. And I can tell you right now that a very good friend of mine from WDIV Channel 4 in Detroit years ago, I was talking to her one day about something that she was working on. And I said, I'm curious, how many phone calls do you get? And she goes, you have no idea how many phone calls we get every single day. She goes, my phone is ringing off the hook, figuratively speaking. I've got producers who go through all the phone calls. She goes, the vast majority of them, I cannot help them. She also said the vast majority of them are not news, in the sense that, she goes, I get phone calls every single day where somebody bought a used car from a used car dealer and they bought the car as is and the engine exploded shortly after they bought it. She goes, I get that phone call just every single day. I bought it. And she goes, even if I could help them, it wouldn't be news because it happens so often. So she goes, we're always looking for those stories that are a little different, or the stories that where we can actually help, but where we help and teach people a lesson. That, watch what happened here, look how we took care of this, and then learn from that. The scary part here is, the lesson is, call a TV station. And it shouldn't be that way. And so the weird part is that I think we're talking about, what did they say, $500 or $600 over, right? Yeah, so the increase was $600. So let's suppose that you couldn't get a TV station involved. You tried, but you couldn't. TV stations won't help you. What can you do? Well, for $600, you can sue them in small claims court. You can. The problem, of course, is the man's from North Carolina, I believe, and went to Florida. And I'm not sure where Hertz is located, but there's a good chance he can sue them locally because I suspect Hertz has a presence pretty much everywhere. And you can sue them in small claims court. So you spend half of a day in court to see if they show up. And they might show up, they might not show up. If they do show up, then you argue in front of a judge. But the real thing here is, how do things like this keep happening? Now, in the grand scheme of bad things Hertz has done, okay, let's assume that we put them on a scale, right? At one end is people being arrested and held at gunpoint because Hertz reported their car stolen, despite the fact they had just rented it. And then this would be at the other end. Hertz tacks on a $600 surcharge that shouldn't have been there. That's not the same as being arrested at the side of the road. I understand that. But the point is, somehow, Hertz is doing all this stuff. Can you imagine if this was good publicity? How much this advertising would be worth for Hertz to be getting all this free publicity if it was good, which it's not. So, again, like I said, someday we will stop talking about Hertz. Today's not that day. It's not. It's from abc11.com. And, of course, got to salute Diane Wilson for doing the good work there. Frank sending me, thanks a lot. Raleigh man stunned by Hertz rental car bill with upgrade charge applied in error, but it's now been removed simply because a TV station got involved. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Is there another word for synonym?